What I run through on that agenda is, take you through the agenda items. That is, number 1, marketing response and statistics. Number 2, positive and negative feedback through the campaign. Number 3, price feedback, positioned there before reserve. Number 4, expected bidders, and we'll talk about the buyers that we're expecting to turn up. Number 5, owner's role on the day, where I want them positioned, what time we're going to show up, those sorts of things. Our strategy is to sell on the day. This will cover off strategy A, strategy B. Strategy A is I don't need to do anything and it sells. Strategy B is a vendor bid, for instance. Then number 7, last of all, is setting the reserve. So that's positioned lastly because we've already talked about where the price feedback is, because they're two different things. So they may have a reserve in mind, but it's not in line with the price feedback. On the reserve, how I'll talk about it is explain what it is. So the reserve is not what you want for the home. It's setting it just above what you won't sell at. I don't want to know what they want because what they want is irrelevant. They still might want 2 million, but it's worth 1.7. So we need to work out what that bottom price is. Even if it's going really well, we need to know what that bottom price is so I can set an appropriate strategy. So I need to know that I set the right vendor bid. If the vendor bid's well above what you will actually take or well below, then that's going to impact the campaign. So we'll talk around that. Obviously, sometimes that's a very hard conversation. And one of the first things they say is they get a little bit awkward about it and they go, well, Danny, where do you think the reserve should be? And I guess this is where sometimes you kind of want to say a high price, but the reality is you could say, well, I always set a reserve based on where majority of my feedback has been, because I always think of it, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, that if the property is announced on the market, then if that's too high, the bidding stops. What I want is for the bidding to keep going. It needs to be a logical range that the buyers think it was in. And sometimes, Mr. Vendor, that's where our best offer has been. And our best offer has been at 1.6 million.